Hi. So today I'm going to be talking about my own personal pedagogy, how it ties into class, and things I feel I've taken away. So one of the things I want to talk about is progressive education because even though I've been fairly exposed to educators in the past because most of my family is teachers, whether it be like elementary school or high school or even professors, there's a lot of educators in my family. However, I didn't really know the concept of banking, for example. Like, I knew the concept, but I didn't know there was a name for it or that it was a solidified thing. It was really interesting to read about how progressive education takes a different route and how it's more of an open discussion. Because I know there's a lot of educators that sometimes are a little bit stunted in that sense and not allowed to do things like that just because they're required to do certain tests and whatnot. But this whole idea that I think is really important of the teacher being like a facilitator and allowing conversations and mistakes and for students to explore kind of with things with guidelines, but allowing things like discussions or debates and whatnot that really help sort of solidify the student's own understanding rather than just like repeating words that have been said. Or like even, I know I've said this before, I wasn't really, when I learned about the ideas like cognitivism and behaviorism and constructivism, I did not really think of them in an education sense. I suppose just because I was learning them for a class and I was just kind of retaining information. But like, I did not think about how things like open discussion could fall into those categories, or projects even, and I just think I thought that was really interesting to kind of discover and relate back, like, oh yeah, I can think of a course where we used to do debates and open discussions, and I feel like that is XYZ. Also, this idea of effective versus ineffective teachers and how we discussed it and discussed like things like people saying, oh, a teacher that doesn't give feedback on how to fix things or doesn't give feedback at all or whatnot, and like relating to each other's experiences. And also even things like discussing like how not everybody has the same circumstances and we need to be aware. I feel like that's really important, especially in a public school setting, because not everybody has the same opportunities. But I feel like a lot of this has expanded my view of what the classroom can be, and that it doesn't always have to be like, here's some information that I hand to you. And I think part of my own personal pedagogy that really ties into this class is the idea that not everyone's the same and not everything is going to work the same, so you have to keep approaching a problem in different ways, because not every person absorbs information the same way or learns things the same way. And also this idea of like, the best way I can describe it is empathy, and being understanding, because I have had a few teachers in my own experience that were just like, did not want to ever be told they were wrong or anything. Didn't really, were completely opposite of this idea that we've been talking about with facilitator. And often those teachers, no one would really respect them in a way, because they were just like, well, you don't really care about my learning, you only want to feed me information. So again, not right, but this idea of having empathy and understanding that not everybody is molded from the same cloth, which basically ties into my first idea. But it's really interesting to see how all of these tie together and how they sort of, in a way, meld into each other. And I just am really excited to start learning more and see more how this ties into my own life, because it can be relatable for pretty much everybody who's been a student. So yeah.